So many people remarked about the openness that you guys have all displayed on various episodes of this podcast. And do you personally think that you have a very open relationship with me and Dad? Or how would you describe the type of relationship that you have with Dad and I? So why don't you go first?
To answer the question point blank, yes, definitely very open. I tell them almost everything. And that being said, I consider myself extremely open. I tell them anything from work to friend problems to boyfriend issues, etc. But I think that I am actually the least open when now looking to my two right, my siblings, simply because I think I choose what I share with them, and that is a lot, but not every single detail, which others can speak to.
Guilty.
Okay, now you're up.
Why do you share stuff with us?
I think that growing up, we always had a very open relationship, and I think one of the core things that you both instilled in all of us is you will never ever get in trouble for telling the truth. If we were telling you completely upfront and honestly what we were doing, where we were going, who we were going with, or in general, like what is going on in our lives, then regardless of what it was, we would never be punished for that. And I will always remember I had an incident with my first time drinking. I drank a whole handle of vodka, and I'm the oldest, so that was my first rodeo. And I woke up in the morning and I was petrified, puke all over myself, sleeping on the window bench. I thought I was just toast. Like, I thought I was dead meat. I was so scared. And then we all sat down in the screened-in porch, and they both said to me, "We will never punish you for something that we also did as kids. And as long as you are open and honest about..."
That pretty much opens the door wide
Oh,
open.
yeah, baby. I was running with gas after that. But after you guys said that, I just felt so much more at ease. And my punishment that day was actually going to a lacrosse tryout, which I yacked at several times. But then I looked at my other friends who would get in trouble and for drinking or for doing things we weren't allowed to, and they would immediately be grounded. They'd immediately have to stay home. They were restricted from alcohol. They were whatever. And that just kind of put a huge barrier between, I think, them and their parents, which was just, let's be sneaky, let's steal, let's sneak out, let's go to parties and lie about where we are. When I think from very early on, you both were very vocal about, as long as you are honest, you will not get in trouble. And I think that just eliminated the barrier between us completely.
I think a lot of parents say that. I think that is every parent's throwaway line. Hey, as long as you tell me the truth, you're not going to get in trouble. As long as you call me, you're not getting in trouble. And then in the tsunami of emotions, when you get the call that your kid is blacked out, or there's been a huge party, or the police showed up, or whatever else, most parents freak out and then ground or punish.
No, I disagree. I disagree. For you to say that every parent out there just makes a blanket statement that says, just tell us the truth and you'll be fine. Like, no way. That therein lies, I think, one of the secrets, the keys to the kingdom, is inviting that truth telling, because most people don't.
Okay,
Right.
well,
I agree. I agree.
I actually don't think that any of my friends, I mean, I think that, like, it was unspoken in a lot of my friends' households growing up that, like, if you tell us the truth, you won't get in trouble. But, like, it wasn't actually, like, there was a difference between what they were saying and what they were doing in terms of the parents. Like, the parents want you to tell the truth, but they're still going to punish you. You guys want us to tell the truth, but you're not going to punish us. Like, you actually do what you say you're going to do as parents.
But did you, Mel, Is that what your parents told you? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
See, I didn't get that from my parents. I just got the idea that it takes. The message to me was it takes a long time to build trust, and it takes 2 seconds to shatter the trust, which is sort of infers that tell the truth and you're not going to blow up relationships or leave people feeling, sort of lost inside of the dynamic between the two of you.
Like my number one goal as your parent in our relationship building was to get you to want to come and talk to me and Dad about important topics instead of going to your dipshit friends. And, I always thought if you're 13, 14, 15, or 16, way better to talk through something you're thinking about or worried about or, wanting to try and all that stuff with adults who will listen to you than going to other 14, 15, or 16-year-olds that don't know what the hell they're doing.
I agree with that. And this was like sort of going to be my whole point about like why I also have such an open relationship with my parents, arguably too open. But
Definitely too open.
yeah, don't take notes from me. I turned out fine, sort of. But
TBD.
what I was going to say is you were just saying like it's so much better for kids at that age to like go to their parents who will listen to them rather than their dipshit friends. But like that's the issue, is that parents don't listen. And what I was going to say, my whole point is that there's a difference between like, I think that like my definition of listen as like you guys have defined what listen means to me. And it's like internalizing what we're saying. Like parents all around the world can just listen to their kid be like, I really want to go to this party tonight, like blah, 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 blah. Or like, can I please, like whatever it may be. Oh, I got too drunk at this party, or, oh, I slept with someone before I was ready. Like there's a difference between hearing what they're saying and actually listening and internalizing how it's making them feel. Like I feel like every time we told you guys something as kids, you would actually like empathize with us and hear us and internalize it. And in doing that, you were able to like loosen the reins a little bit and let us fuck up and let us fail and and instead of being like, you're stupid, you're being punished, that was dumb, you were like, let's talk about it. How is it making you feel?
So
blah,
you're
blah, blah.
saying in these conversations that we were having as you were growing up, you had that sense of feeling heard inside of.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh.
My dad is bawling.
That's cool.
Oh, Dad. Oh. I hate when you cry. I really wasn't planning on this.
But no, totally.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like most kids don't talk to their parents because their parents don't hear them and don't listen to them. So why would they?
I think a lot of my friends, for example, whenever they would want to go on a trip or go to a party or do anything they want to do, and they already knew in the back of their head that their parents didn't want them to or were going to say no, they go into the conversation to talk about that and express how they're feeling. And as a kid, I think we all come from the exact same scenario where we want to explain why we want to go to this thing or go to this trip or why we should be able to do this, etc. But on the other end, the parents, like Kendall said, may be listening, but they already have an answer in the back of their head. Their mind is made up. There's no room for conversation or changing. I think that when kids go into conversations with parents who immediately make up their mind, do not allow for any sort of alterations or changes to the plan, then you're just set up for failure, because then it just turns into sneakiness and hatred and all that stuff. Yeah, resentment. And so I don't know. I think that I'm looking for a word, but I think this is also a little bit of, I think parents and children should not obviously be equal. Like parents need to have a little bit of authority over children, but I think what I really appreciated most, and a lot, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. And, but I think that like at the end of the day, like I always felt as a child like you're equal. And I always felt like you guys.
What does that mean? Because I don't think Dad and I ever bought into the parenting philosophy of being your friends. What Dad and I, at least if I had to summarize the way that we think about parenting, is I think about parenting as though our job is to help you figure out who you are. Mm-hmm. And that means learning how to think through decisions, learning how to come to terms with your own values, learning the weight of the consequences of decisions, and that the whole point of parenting is for you to grow up and leave and go find somebody that you love as much as Dad and I love one another, and go build a family, and to become more of who you are. And so we were always focused on connection first, correction dead last.
I feel like I'm so open because you guys were so open with me. Like, I feel like I could go to you guys, I could ask you guys something about your life, and you'd tell me. There was nothing that you really hid from me. Maybe there was, or maybe I was just so young that I didn't really ask, but you were very open, which was super nice. And I also felt like you guys had my back, like 100% of the time, no matter what. For example, I went to camp for a month, and I got bullied, and so my mom found out about it, and she like refused to let me stay there, so she took me out a week early, which felt really nice because it showed that she cared about how I was feeling, and she understood that, and she acted upon it, which was really helpful for me, and it showed that she has my back. And she continued to show me that throughout the rest of my life.
Seeking connection with you guys required us to learn how to listen. It required us to learn how to hear your points of view, even though they were often stupid or immature or dangerous or irrational or emotional or irritating, but still to respect you enough to listen. And oftentimes your ideas were great, and we would listen and acquiesce. But I think you also had a sense of safety because we always had guardrails. There's nothing you're going to do that's dangerous. There's nothing we're going to allow you to do that is self-destructive or destructive to other people. There is nothing that we're going to ever allow you to do that could be a situation that is deadly or discriminatory against people. And so there were guardrails, and there are guardrails that we're very, very intense about. But
I think that your guardrails are like around morals and like who we are as human beings,
yes,
not behavioral.
Can you give an
things.
example?
Like, be a kind person, hold the door for people, say thank you, ask the waiter's name. Like, those kinds of things are like unspoken guardrails, whereas I feel like other parents put up guardrails that are like no drinking on the weekends. Like, you never put up guardrails that were like activities or experiences or things we do. It's how we are within those experiences are where the guardrails are.
What do most parents get wrong? Like, what are some don'ts that you've seen either Dad and I do or other parents do?
Let your kids figure it out themselves.
Yes.
Let their like
never with drinking and driving.
Well, yeah.
Obviously.
Honestly, if somebody's like gateway drugging their way into heroin or cocaine or becoming an alcoholic at a young age, like, I can bet you that there is a massive lack of love and appreciation and being heard and being seen in their household, and it's probably coming from their parents. Hate to call you guys out, but it's probably coming from their parents.
It definitely
and you know what? Instead of the like, yeah, you find out that they're doing cocaine, that's terrifying. I can't even imagine what that's like as a parent. But instead of seeing that and having some rash, crazy reaction about like, we're throwing all this out, we're putting you into this, we're putting you into therapy, blah, 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 blah. What I think would be more impactful is like sitting their kid down and being like, can we have it like, here's a punishment. You're not leaving this table until we actually talk this through, because there's got to be a lot more deep-seated issues than just this bag of white powder. Like, I think that the issue is that like parents are just so quick to be like, they're so afraid of it becoming a bigger issue that they just Band-Aid on a bullet wound and just like put them into when like the real issue is the deep-seated hurt that the kid is feeling and the love that they're not getting.
I want to do some rapid fire questions.
I think this is a question for the both of you.
Wait, no, I actually have an answer.
So you're saying in these conversations that we were having as you were growing up, you had that sense of feeling heard.
Yes.
Absolutely.